We're now playing Triad Stone. This was also called Strawl on the 3DO and many other games. Now, back in the 80s, there was a large collection of laser disc-based arcade games. Dragon's Lair was the most popular, Dragon's Lair 2, and Space Ace. These would play video off of a Laserdisc player that was inside of the arcade machine, and visually it was far and away more impressive than other arcade games. You're looking at a lot of single-screen arcade games, and then you have something that looks like a Don Bluth Disney-esque cartoon. You would think that this is a Laserdisc-based game console that you would have Space Ace and Dragon's Lair, but for some reason those games didn't come to the Laseractive. But we did get Strawl here as Triad Stone, also Time Gal, which came out for the Sega CD, and Road Prosecutor.
Which also came out on the Sega CD, known as Road Avenger.
Now, Road Avenger is a pretty good game. I haven't played Time Gal, but I have played a bit of this.
And, I think why the Don Bluth games didn't come out is they were American games. They were developed here, and there are no Western-developed games on the Laseractive. They're all Japanese productions.
That's strange, and I Will, it's about London. How did that factor in?
The less we speak about I Will, I think the better. Because off-camera, we still kept playing it, and we didn't get any further. It's just, we don't understand how it's even played.
Was only 19 years old then.
These games are trial and error, emphasis on the error.
Yeah, they're not easy. In fact, I'm going to bump it down to easy, just so we have a chance of actually showing you anything.
When I was younger trying to play Space Ace, I just had a piece of paper that was left, right, up, down, A, B, up, up, down, left. This giant game of Simon is the only way that you can get through the game. A lot of times it was an anime that it was just chopped up.
Get them all. Disperse them.
Disperse them.
Maybe been pretty good so far.
I've played this briefly before.
Now, I can see why these were initially popular in the arcades, just because you're seeing something that looks so impressive. But really, it's like a cheap parlor game where you need to do some things for the video to keep playing. And if you don't, well, then the little puppet stops dancing for you.
Yeah, the whole game is just to keep the video playing.
And when these games were in arcade, they were usually more expensive. 50 cents or even potentially $1 to play.
Right. Well, they were pretty expensive arcade machines.
Well, and prone to problems, because, when Dragon's Lair was playing, you have a Laserdisc playing for 12 hours a day.
Yeah, it was pretty common for the players to go out. And Laserdisc players in the early 80s were not cheap.
If you like these trial and error style games, we were playing Wirehead for the Sega CD the other day. It was pretty fun. Mm-hmm. That's full motion video. I think that's a good example of this style of gameplay done well. I also have a soft spot for Revenge of the Ninja for the Sega CD.
Yeah, I thought Wirehead was a really good example of FMV. Everybody says FMV was just terrible, but there are a few hidden gems, and while I wouldn't call Wirehead a gem, it was pretty entertaining. We had a pretty good time playing it.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to say pop that in over Snatcher or anything, but, it's a good game.
And this game's, it's playable. It's pretty good.
You can pause this and go slower if you want, but I'm just skipping the text. Blah, 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 blah. Some stones, you know, they're magic. Now, this looks interesting. You can choose where you want to go, I guess? Let's try this. So I haven't played this any further. I've only played to that last bit where it cleared the stage.
Oh, okay.
Now it's all new to me, and we'll be seeing some failure.
Even though I would say this looks impressive,
I missed.
ooh. With any Laserdisc game, I mean, you're looking at about a half hour of footage that's capable of being held on the disc. So
Right.
it might be challenging, but you're looking at a pretty short experience. And with, like, Wirehead or Revenge of the Ninja, once you know what to do, you can master the game, and yeah, you're only going to have, you know, maybe up to 14 minutes of playtime.
Like in some games about berserkers in space, maybe?
In space.
Yeah, this is not as lenient as it was in the first level.
Oh, about, like, pinpoint accuracy.
Yeah.
Well, we've got tentacles. We knew they were coming.
You know, my only question about this game, this is actually pretty good, but I really wonder how we can shoehorn Song of the South in here.
Oh, Song of the South. You know, give me a moment. I'm sure the devil on my shoulder will give me a
Jesus.
give me a comment about Song of the South, or perhaps a bluebird on my shoulder who could whistle some sort of comment.
You know you're going straight to heaven.
Yeah,
Okay, so...
Laseractive and Song of the South. It's like peanut butter and jelly.
Well, you know, we do have a Song of the South Laserdisc.
I know you have it. It's worth a ton, right?
It is. It's like the holy grail of Laserdisc collecting. And Laseractive does play regular Laserdiscs. I mean, I'm just saying.
I think that cow that just got eaten alive by space leeches, that was an omen.
Yeah, this level seems a little easier than that ice one.
Again, these games look really cool. It's just...
There's just not much gameplay.
Yeah, you don't get that same sense of satisfaction. Yeah, your character's doing some cool stuff, but you just don't get that kind of direction.
Yeah. There's just basically no reason why it can't be a cartoon that you're watching.
Wii Stick controls are, you know, clear-cut. They were mostly pretty clear-cut in Dragon's Lair, but Space Ace, things started getting a little crazy. You know, a boulder that was on screen would just highlight in yellow, and what you were supposed to do wasn't very clear.
That was pretty cool. Nice.
Yeah. Boy, they have it out for you. He's giving you the Jurassic Park 3 treatment.
Ah, I hit down. That's a lot of movements real quick. See, that's the thing. Once you hit the wrong button, I mean, you're done.
Yeah.
So, that's probably enough of Triad Stone, I think.
Yeah, it's an alright game. It's just Space Berserker and Hyperion and Pyramid Patrol, Rocket Coaster. We're doing something that other systems could not do, with the CGI and the video being played in the background. This clearly could be played on other consoles. It's not a bad game. It's just not a totally unique experience.
Yeah, I mean, it looks better than, a Sega CD version of this or even a 3DO version would look. But, yeah, it's not something that just can't be done.
Yeah. I guess that's true. Most of the time you play these on the Sega CDs, and it's in a much smaller window. It's shrunken down. It's really compressed.
Yeah.
But
the Sega CD did not have nice video at all.
But you got to be careful. I mean, this would be an example of a good rental. It's not like anyone's renting Laseractive games, but for a Sega CD, something like that. Play it over a weekend, master it, and give it back to Blockbuster, because you're only looking at
He exploded my guy there.
Dang, 20 minutes of gameplay maybe.
Probably around there. Well, you look at full video playthroughs of Dragon's Lair, and yeah, they're really short. 9-10 minutes, something like that.
Yeah, people say good things about Road Avenger.
Yeah, I've never played it in any version, but I hear it's good.
I played it on an emulator. I didn't get very far, but it seemed good. It gave you a sense of movement. It's just nowadays the Sega CD version's like, I don't know, over $70.
Is it that much now?
Yeah. Then again, I think that was a cardboard box release, and those get shredded.
Yeah.
But it's just not worth that in terms of gameplay to me.
Right.
If I saw it for $10, I'd probably buy it, but... Ironically, these would probably be pretty good games to have on your phone. You could just tap the direction. Nice short experience. I could play this while I was waiting to get on a bus.
So out of all these games we've played Pyramid Patrol, Rocket Coaster, Space Berserker, Hyperion, I Will, Triad Stone, High Roller Battle. I think that's it, right?
Yeah.
Which one's your favorite?
I Will definitely takes the cake as the absolute best, followed by High Roller Battle.
Made by the same company,
The
too.
same.
We just found that out.
That's great. Oh wait, opposite order of that.
Yes.
Hyperion, far and away the best. That really gave an experience that.
I would have to agree.
It was unique. And the visuals were quite impressive. I feel really bad for whatever team of 3D animators put all that together. Some really impressive spaceships and all that stuff.
Real impressive stuff that nobody ever saw.
Nobody ever saw. I just can't imagine, some guy getting a, backache, chugging coffee, working over his 1993 computer, trying to make those 3D models for a game that no one played, essentially.
Yeah.
And that just slipped away to time. It's really unfortunate because that had, a unique experience. Pyramid Patrol, even though it was not as visually impressive as Space Berserker, I just think is a more playable game. Space Berserker... Oh, God, do I like Space Berserker more than Rocket Coaster?
I don't know. I think I'd go with Rocket Coaster over Space Berserker, personally.
That's kind of where I'm leaning, too, because Space Berserker only 14 minutes long. It's just so hard to see the enemies.
Yeah.
So yeah, Rocket Coaster, Space Berserker. I gotta say that I Will is slightly better than
High Roller Battle. Yeah, I mean,
that's tough. They both suck.
Right. It's better, but you still don't want to play it.
No.
But I Will, at least it has some hilariously corny acting, which High Roller Battle just didn't have anything to discuss.
Yeah.
So I think I got to give it points just based on that. It was more purely entertaining, even if it wasn't good.
And there might be something that we're not doing right You know,
Yeah.
if we followed a walkthrough and, you know, maybe we could get to the driving game that's hidden in I Will, or the casino games, and there might be something moderately interesting and a little bit of a B movie hilarity quality. Whereas High Roller Battle was just,
Yeah, that's just bad and doesn't seem to have any redeeming qualities.
no, way too hard. Just a bad game all around. I could never see playing that.
So there are a few games that we've not been able to get our hands on, though. And, you know, Time Gal, which is pretty much everybody's Laseractive Holy Grail. We're never going to see that. Road Prosecutor, which we've just talked about. We can get that on Sega CD, so that's no big deal. But then we have Blue Chicago Blues, which is a murder mystery game kind of similar to the Sherlock Holmes games that came out on the early CD consoles. I know not really your thing, but I would like to see it. They have recently done an iOS port of it. Like, I don't know who decided 20 some odd years down the line, hey, let's port this, let's also take out all the FMV and do 3D models. Seems kind of crazy, but anyway. That one's very tough to find, we don't have that. And my personal holy grail of video collecting, the English Don Quixote, we do not have. And I have not been able to find a copy of it, no matter how much money I want to throw at it.
Well, and if it does come up, it could be $1,000 or more.
I saw one that went on eBay. One in the last 2 years went on eBay. And I bid $790 on it and lost.
Yikes.
Because, well, one, it was sealed. So it carries the premium for being sealed. And, you know, I didn't really want it sealed because I want to crack it open and play it.
Yeah.
But I honestly, if one comes up, I don't know how much to spend on it because there's no data.
Well, and it's got to be impossibly hard to find. But
Yeah.
then you wonder, like, all those 5200 games, if one day they're just going to crack open a few, you know, connexes somewhere in the Philippines and there's just going to be, you know, stacks and stacks of them.
Right.
And a game that used to be really rare, like Gremlins for the 5200, now you can buy a brand new copy for
Yep.
20 or 30 bucks. That's a somewhat unlikely scenario, but it happens. Maybe one, it is just like Indiana Jones. It's just in a crate, in a warehouse, somewhere.
Well, you have to think, when they did a print run, you know, if they're doing Laserdisc, they had to do a pretty sizable amount, I imagine. Like, you can't make a Glassmaster and run 100 copies. That doesn't make sense, does it?
No.
So they've got to be out there somewhere.
But they could have ET'd them as well. If they just got all returned to the company and like these didn't sell and the company folded and they just got
could've.
rid of their assets and they just literally take them to the dump and scrap them. You know, and in Atari's case, someone bought all that Jaguar stuff, like bought all the extra
Yeah.
boxes and all that stuff and started selling them. For a lot of companies that fold, that doesn't make any sense. You wouldn't see value in this stuff. You know, like 8-tracks and stuff, you just get rid of them.
Yeah.
So maybe that company that was behind Don Quixote, they just scrapped them, and is why there's only a few out there.
I don't know. I've looked for info on that company to try to contact them, and obviously they've been gone for a very long time now. But if anybody has a copy, please let me know. I will pay you handsomely, or maybe not handsomely.
And if you worked on any of these games, we'd love to hear from you. If you were one of the 3D animators on Hyperion, or if you were the Dr. Wily lookalike from I Will, we would love to hear from you. This is pretty unique stuff.
Absolutely no chance any of those people are going to see this.
You never know.
You do never know. And there are also the NEC module games, which we haven't got into because obviously we don't have that module. Manhattan Requiem, which I actually do have a copy of because I was dumb and didn't realize that it needed the NEC module until 3 seconds after I hit buy it now. That is also a murder mystery, same series as Blue Chicago Blues. And then there's Vajra, which is a lot like Chaos Control, or better yet, like Metal Falcon on SNES. So it's one robot that you have to shoot against, and you know, it's all 3D rendered background.
Oh, that sounds like fun. I like Metal Combat on Super Nintendo. Great game.
And there's a sequel to that, Vajra 2, which is I guess it's like the second rarest Laseractive disc. I've never seen one go for sale.
Well, those have piqued my interest. But is it FMV in the background for the robots you're fighting, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it's not FM, it's CG.
Okay. Well,
Really,
that's a little
really
less
bad
interesting
CG. And, the rest is just edutainment stuff that's not that interesting. There's the pyramid games that we talked about. There's, like, Virtual Australia, which I believe is the rarest disc out there. There's Melon Brains. Yeah, guess what that's about? Did you guess dolphins? Why would you guess
No!
dolphins? Because it's about dolphins.
Melon brains?
Yeah, look it up. It's a scientific term.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, okay. There's Quiziconosaurus, which is like a little kid's quiz game.
Get that for your kid for $120 on your brand new Laseractive.
That was the NEC pack-in. When you bought the module, you got Quiziconosaurus.
Why does NEC screw up all their packets?
Might explain why they didn't sell too many of those modules compared to the Sega module. So, and then there's a few Japanese games. There's a lot of kind of like porny Japanese games like Virtual Cameraman.
Figures.
Yeah, you don't need to check them out. They're nothing interesting. You can look up video on YouTube, and it's basically, let's take pictures of these Asian women in bikinis. And that's like the whole thing. So, there's a few of those. I'm really hoping the efforts to emulate this system get underway. Because as we said, this is the only way to play it. Discs are impossible to find. Systems are too expensive. Let's let people play those games again.
Yeah, and it might as well, because the few people that have Laseractives out there, their temperamental system, you need to recap everything. Even if you do, there's all these parts that can go bad. And Laserdiscs in general have a very determined shelf life. Both the system and the software is not going to last forever. So even if you're lucky enough, like Chris over here, to have this stuff at your disposal, it's not going to last forever.
Right.
So someone better get on, emulation, because that's the only way a lot of this stuff is going to get preserved. Maybe this was a flop. Maybe a lot of these games aren't, kind of AAA titles. But it is an interesting period in history when people thought, let's make really expensive, video games and consoles for the upper crust. And, maybe people learned their lesson, like with the 3DO and the CDI.
Yep.
But I don't know, with the Xbox One S and a lot of these other systems coming out, moving into 4K and virtual reality, maybe some of this stuff is not too crazy for these kind of elite, extremely expensive systems to come out. Who knows?
Well, it was a really interesting period in gaming, because it was all about, we've got this new technology. We've gone from ROM cartridges, which have a really tiny bit of memory, to, you may as well consider it infinite memory. It was just that much more, so it was, all these developers were like, what can we do? What can we do that nobody's done? And it was a great time for creativity. Obviously, not all the ideas worked, but a lot of games that we have now, sprung out of those ideas. We wouldn't be seeing cinematic games like we have nowadays, I don't think, without that period of people just figuring, let's see if we can put a movie on a disc.
Yeah, they tried Dataless Encounter, stuff like that.
Yep.
Stuff that would make Time Magazine, where people thought, oh, Tina Carrera, all these, this is going to be a big hit. This is going to change the landscape of games as we know it. That didn't exactly work, but it did kind of give that Hollywood movie attitude to change to, now where we have these cinematic epics like Uncharted and games like that really draw people in, bring in, big-time voice actors, big-time real actors. When Kevin Spacey is the, main character in the next Call of Duty game, that's big news.
Yeah.
And it all started with early stuff like this. But I gotta say, you're a big Sega fan. You've got all the Sega stuff all over your wall. You grew up with Sega more so than I did. I was more a Nintendo kid. The Laseractive was your white whale. You wanted it for years. You finally got one, only because you were able to fix it yourself.
Only because I fixed the 9 things wrong with it, yes.
But, I mean, why is Laseractive special to you? Even now, a lot of these games are bad, and they're going to cost a ton, but you still want them. What is that insatiable draw for you that makes you nuts about Laseractive?
It's just because it's interesting. It's because most of the games do something that no other game did. And again, you can't emulate it. So if you want that experience, the only way to do it is through the original hardware. And, you just can't get games like that anymore, whether some of them are good, some of them are bad. They've all got something interesting to talk about, except for High Roller Battle. So, yeah, it's the creativity that kind of interests me. As you know, and people will hopefully find out through this YouTube channel, I think the worst type of game is like High Roller Battle. The bad game that's just mediocre. There's nothing interesting about it, nothing you can really talk about it. But I love terrible games where you can talk about it all day long. You can sit around with your friends and you can have a good time and laugh about it. Again, Thunder in Paradise on the CDI, starring everybody's hero Hulk Hogan. Great.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
Has a B-movie quality about it where you can sit and you can watch it and laugh.
Right. And it is just like a B-movie. Those movies are somewhat successful and popular because you sit around and you laugh about it. You're not going expecting the next Schindler's List, but you watch Evil Dead and it's entertaining for many different reasons. But then you watch something like, let's say, The Witch, which came out last year. Just terrible. Nothing to talk about. You read a review of a witch and it's just a blank page.
Yeah. Well, instead of a very plain slice of bread style of game like High Roller Battle, where you're like, I see what they were going for.
Yes.
But there's nothing really offending about it that makes it funny or anything. This is just a bland game that misses on all fronts.
Right.
It's not very exciting. I'm looking forward to some of the hilariously bad games. Hopefully we can get our hands on.
We've got a lot of them already.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't see through the camera right now, but we have a wall of games right over to my left here, and they're not all winners. I'll tell you that right now.
So the world record on Video Speedway for the CDI, it's coming.
I don't think... Okay, let's back up here. A lot of people talk about bad games. Starting through the mid-2000s, I think there was a surge of YouTube personalities talking about the worst games. And they haven't even scratched the surface.
Yeah, they got the funny bad games.
Yeah, I mean, they're talking about, Zelda 2 was bad. Ninja Turtles on Nintendo was bad. No, we're going to go way further than that. I mean, if some people think that's the bottom of the barrel, we're drilling through the bottom. We're going to the Earth's crust of crap. And Video Speedway, that's in there.
That is in there. Well, more to come. But I'm looking forward to more, strange oddities. Again, as mediocre as some of these games were, it's a new experience, especially for me. So, Chris, I really do appreciate a chance to play this because it was special. I've been collecting video games hardcore for 15 years, and this is something that you never see. To get a new experience and play a game and hear about a game and see a game that I haven't is a real treat.
Yeah.
And when I got to, visit the immortal John Hancock and go through his house, he's got thousands, if not tens of thousands of games, and he's like, what do you want to play? The world is your oyster. I said, I want to play Laseractive because I will never get a chance to ever. And he looked at me and he's like, they're so temperamental, I don't want to touch it. It's going to break. It's made of paper mache. It's made of glass. I don't want to touch it. He's right about that, but again, this is a unique experience. So,
well, it's only with his help that we were able to play half these games.
Yeah, thank you, John.
He was very kind, and he loaned us High Roller Battle, Triad Stone, I Will.
Can we borrow your games, John?
And Hyperion.
Will you lend those to us? Oh, yeah. I will. I will. Enjoy it. Thank you, John, for the games. They were so fun.